Hello and welcome to this presentation on AWS EKS multi-zone cluster creation using a tool called fsKube. fsKube is a new tool from Repertoire. Repertoire is a Kubernetes Pro DevSecOps company. Pro here stands for provisioning. So let's dive in. A short introduction as to why Repertoire. So the audience that Repertoire targets is enterprises looking for cloud migration, modernization, transformation, and IoT projects on top of Kubernetes. So the purpose of Repertoire is provisioning business-ready Kubernetes cluster along with all of its components with complete DevSecOps lifecycle. So you are ready to get go on the first few minutes as you get fsKube installed. The benefits is you get a dramatic speed in provisioning of customer environments, whether it be POC, for demos, or even for dev quality production. You get an improved focus on business outcomes since all your infrastructure provisioning is automated by fsKube. You get a significant ROI and lower time to market. So there are no more delays in infrastructure provisioning and getting Kubernetes to be business ready. There's a sizable time, effort, resource, and cost reduction. This gives you a competitive advantage on top of other competitors so that you can demonstrate your business benefit, your specific business solutions faster to your customers. So let's launch a Kubernetes cluster using fsKube on AWS EKS. One of the benefits of fsKube is that it has a nice web UI. So you don't have to get into any command prompts or any YAML files for launching of the Kubernetes cluster. It's extremely simple. So as you can see now, I have the fsKube up and running. And the very first screen that fsKube brings up is the global configuration screen. Here you need to enter your AWS access key and the secret access key. You can generate these keys using the guide available here. It's very easy. And these are the default region and output. You can also generate your GitHub personal access token by going to this link, and you would need an fsKube license key. So once you have done that, you can go to the dashboard, and on the dashboard you can see the monthly breakdown of the cost of various resources that you use on AWS. fsKube is deeply integrated with AWS, so it brings up detailed cost breakdown of various resources that you have been consuming, and this can help you in reducing cost and also managing cost. We're gonna see the cluster creation setup, so that is the first step. So in cluster creation we have two modes. One is the quick create. Quick create creates a standard 2-node cluster for experimental purposes. It's only to quickly create a up and running a Kubernetes cluster so that you can do some experimentation with it. It's not recommended for production. For other purposes, including production, we use full create. So with AWS, we get all the geographic region that AWS hosts. If something is added, we'll get a region in this list automatically. So we're gonna select US East 2, and it's automatically gonna determine the suitable availability zones for our M5 large instances, which are the instances that are best for Kubernetes cluster on AWS based on price, performance, and functionality basis. So it has identified these three availability zones. So for our cluster, we're going to keep the managed node group on as yes, so that we can increase and decrease the number of nodes in the Kubernetes cluster. we're going to give a name, so EKS2, and we're going to create the cluster. The cluster creation takes around 15 to 20 minutes, so I'm going to pause this video. We're going to come back once the cluster has been created. As you can see, the cluster has been now created in the US East 2 region. Let's go to the region and check it out. So let's go to US East 2, and we can see two clusters. We have created a new cluster called EKS2. So the EKS cluster 2 has been created with Kubernetes version 117, and the status is active, and we can see that it has 3 nodes. It's already it's already configured with all the best practices. So now the cluster is created, and we can go to the manage, and we can see that previously I had created these 2 clusters. This is the new one, and it has taken around 20-25 minutes. And from here you can actually either destroy the cluster, or you can refresh the config of the cluster. The config file is stored in the user home directory under .fsKube, so you can find it over there with the folder name as the number of the cluster, so it will be under the directory 13. And then you can now destroy the cluster. So once you destroy the cluster will be destroyed in the Amazon EKS service. So for this demo, that's the end of it. We're going to see further in the next demos how we're going to install components, and we're going to do DevSecOps on these clusters. So to summarize, what are the benefits? So we get geographic region automatically populated. So if AWS adds a new geographic region for EKS, then it will automatically get populated in the screen, so you can select it. Availability zones are filtered and selected by right sizing the instance size. So this is a complex procedure, but if you install or try to install EKS cluster in availability zones which cannot host the instances of the Kubernetes cluster, then the cluster creation fails. So we ensure that it's pre-filtered to have a better user experience. The default instance size is M5 large. This is the best practice for price performance of Kubernetes. So the management, we can manage the Kubernetes cluster, we can recreate the configuration, and we can destroy the cluster. The node groups are created automatically for sizing, so we can increase the number of nodes and we can decrease them as well. The sizing, we start with a 3-node cluster by default. That's one of the best practices of Kubernetes. So that's the whole thing is basically you have best practices pre-baked into fsKube to provide a smoother end user experience when dealing with Kubernetes, because Kubernetes can get very complex at times. So it's better to have best practices baked in so that you don't encounter problems that we have already solved. So thanks very much for watching this demo of Kubernetes creation on EKS using fsKube. You can find us on Twitter. Our handle is Rebetor, and you can email us at hello@rebetor.com in case you have any questions or inquiries. Thank you very much. See you.